Welcome to H360 Health Talk. This is a four-part series. We are here today to talk about the Ray Pfeifer Foundation, which is a great foundation which helps 9/11 survivors who are battling cancer and don't have all of their medical bills covered. I'm here with Maryellen, Noreen, Tricia, and Kathleen, who are four of Ray's sisters. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you very much.
So we're winding down. This is the fourth episode in the four-part series, and I feel like I've gotten to know Ray quite well today. I understand he was quite the character.
Quite the character. Yes.
So tell me, what was he like growing up? Because, boy, I heard a lot of stories of him going around in scooters in parks and doing all this work and raising money. But what was he like as a child growing up?
He was very different than that guy. He was very insecure, scrawny, skinny, very funny, but had no confidence, but always lovable and fun and
right. Always so much energy.
Yeah.
So
lot of energy.
A big family. So where was Ray in the order of things?
Oldest.
He was the oldest.
And he would let you know.
Oh, he would.
Yeah.
He would. He
was
ruled
in
the roost.
And then all of us came, so no brothers until after Kathleen.
Right.
Ah.
He really
So he
wanted
was-
me when I was born.
He almost had a breakdown.
He was,
He literally ran away from home.
Right.
I
When
was,
Kathleen was
Another
born.
girl.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Another girl. So kind of quiet, a little timid, really
Quiet.
unsure.
Yeah. Just not. He played baseball, but he wasn't like the athlete. He was coordinated, but
played the
he
Played
played the
the
glockenspiel.
With the Apache band.
Yeah, I twirled.
he was
But
the
he-
oldest, so he kind of looked over, what we were doing. He also was a brother, so that means he was
Protective.
when he was protective, but also when he was watching
pain.
us,
Yeah, a
all
pain.
of a sudden
Yeah.
he became in charge.
Yeah,
He was the king. Right.
So did Ray have this ambition or this burning desire to always join the fire department in New York City?
born with it. Ray and I are exactly a year apart. He was born with that gene. I mean, he played fireman.
Every Halloween you could count on the same costume.
Every Halloween you could count on it. Playing, he just, if there was a fire truck or what, he always was drawn to it. The sirens, always.
What do you think the fascination was? The uniform, the red truck, the siren, the helping
I don't know
people.
what's not to like. It's
I
all
think
of it, right?
all of it combined, plus our dad was a volunteer.
Right.
Ah,
So he spent a lot of time with him. It was
At
a
the firehouse.
bonding
yeah.
point for them my dad used to take him up to the firehouse all the time, and it would be away
And it's
from
like
all of us
it's a
and
family
his own thing
in
with
and
him.
of itself.
Yeah.
It does seem like a family. That the folks that I've talked to today and the people that serve that I know that are friends of mine, it is a very tight-knit family.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
So Ray's getting a little older now. He goes off to school. He does. Tell me a little more about Ray and what it was like growing up with him.
I feel like he was always waiting to become a fireman. I think that's what he wanted to do. So any job that he took, and he was a hard worker.
Very
He
hard.
was
very hard
he was always working.
A doer.
Right.
He was a Boy Scout.
He was a volunteer early, so
Yes, yeah.
he
Really young,
volunteered
as soon as he could.
in his teens, so he was pretty much always a fireman.
He had that passion to help people, to reach out. He was that guy.
Yeah, and if we were not in line, he'd be like, "What are you doing?"
He would call us.
What are you
right
doing?
out.
Definitely.
Always
And they'd be
called
like,
us out.
Right.
So as he's got a little bit older and he goes off and he goes to firefighter training, he wants to join the fire department in New York City. What were your thoughts about that? There's an element of excitement, but there's also an element of risk. Were you concerned about that? But having a father as a volunteer fireman, right? You were kind of used to a little bit of that. What were your thoughts?
We discussed that. We never felt fear or risk.
He loved what
it.
he did. He was always happy when he was at work or talking about work, or work was his life. So,
And my dad loved
concerned,
it. And we had an uncle that was a fireman as well. He was a lieutenant. We never really felt scared ever.
We knew he was good at what he did.
Right.
Yeah.
And if he was to get into any situation, if he could get out of it, he would
get out of it.
And if he didn't, then he
Resourceful.
couldn't.
So 9/11 happens. Everybody knows where they were that day. I certainly can remember where I sat, watching this all unfold. And a lot of chaos. The cell phone networks were down. What went through your mind when you turned on the TV or got that first call about what was happening that morning?
I think we were just all in shock. I mean, I don't think any of us, we couldn't wrap our brains around the magnitude. We knew Ray wasn't there at the time because we knew he was away.
Yeah.
We knew he was on his way. But we had two other brothers that were there.
Right.
And we had one brother that was in a building and trapped.
Yeah, he's the manager of the building, and he called Joseph, my other brother, to say, I don't know how to get out of here. And Joseph said to him, Maryellen just told me this story not long ago, but Joseph said, who are you with? And he said, I'm with a cop. And he said, you're going to stick with that guy and you're going to listen to the radio, and that's how you're going to get out of there.
Yeah.
And we didn't hear from Dan
Right.
till much later in the evening, and so that we were more concerned about Dan.
So how
And
were
we
you
were
communicating? Was it?
So what happened was Ray spoke to Karen. So we knew that Ray was, wherever he was. And we figured, so not being in that situation, we figured, okay, Ray's going to, rescue. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah.
We didn't know where Joe was.
Right.
Joe wound up going to the volunteer fire department, which then led him to Queens. Joe gets a phone call from Ray and says, Joe, all our guys are gone. You got to get here. Now, Joe's not a fireman. He's a volunteer fireman.
Yeah.
But Ray and Joe, like this. Joe meets Ray, and that's how we know now they're together. Joe had an understanding of where Danny was, and then after hours and hours and hours, Danny finally called in and said he was
I
okay.
had to walk over. a
So now
bridge.
we know Joe and Ray are okay. That's what we know. We don't know the magnitude. We just know, okay, they'll be okay.
Magnitude of it.
Yeah.
So we were concerned more for all the chaos and what it meant, and seeing all the people and waiting. And then as time was going on, and you saw what was happening or who was not coming home, that's when we all knew this was going to be something
Yeah.
for Ray.
When you say that's something for Ray, because just knowing his personality,
Yeah.
he's going to be
Everything changed.
right in the thick of things. He is going to be one of the guys that are going to be down there working.
We said he
Round the
died
clock.
that
More
day.
than that.
We
more
said
than
he died that
he's
day.
going to
He's
be,
thought that.
he's a survivor of that. And that we knew was not, he was going to have a very difficult time with that.
Feels
tortured.
guilty.
The guilt.
It wasn't
and,
until many years later, really until he got sick, that he realized what his purpose was, like why he, I
He
think
was in a
really-
black hole for a very, very long time.
Emotionally,
Emotionally. But
Just
kept
kept
going.
going and going and
Yeah.
going.
Poor
and
Kept
going.
going.
And
Poor
Never
Ginger.
stopped.
Well, perpetual motion.
Yeah.
Just wherever he could help. He was at the pile for so long, and he was working with families after that, and it was just his whole mission that, it just took over everything. really.
in what ways did he work with the families?
So,
They would pick up, Ray would pick up Joe, and they'd go to different homes and put up Christmas lights and Christmas trees and make sure they had Christmas presents.
he
And
also was
um,
the liaison for all of their medical,
Right.
not the medical, but just the
Paperwork.
legality of
Right.
your
all the
husband
paperwork that
now.
needed to be done.
Mhm.
Right. As far as their paychecks and their, all that stuff, all the paperwork.
Like bridging the gap,
Right.
So, and very vocal about it down in Washington, pleading the
That didn't come till
case.
later.
that didn't
Yeah.
come until
Much
after
later.
he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And I say it that way because till the day he died, he's like, oh, I can't do that. I got stage 4 cancer. I can't do the dishes. I got stage 4 cancer. He was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer 2009, which it turned out to be a nephroma was the diagnosis. But he was on the lacrosse field with his son taking pictures, and his hip. Now we're Irish, sarcastic. people like, you're getting to be an old man, stop whining, stop being a baby. My brother Joe had the elbow, my elbow. He goes and gets a cortisone shot. Ray's talking about his hip, and my brother Joe says, hey, go to this guy and get a cortisone shot.
Right.
He says, you know what, I'm going to do that now. Makes the appointment, goes, calls up Joe, and he goes, look, you got to get me to Sloan. So they're telling me my hip is disintegrating. Then he gets there, and it was like, bam,
Right.
take out the kidney, do the hip,
Right.
it was like,
Part of the leg.
So surgery after surgery.
after
So
surgery,
much,
after
yeah.
surgery. Yeah.
And how did he assimilate all of that?
He loved Sloan. He
It's
loved.
like a celebrity.
He
Yeah.
loved being at Sloan, the doctors. But what he loved were the people that were coming in that were diagnosed with cancer. He was like their advocate. You'd be sitting there and he'd be like, "Hey, how you doing today?" People from all over the country coming in. Not necessarily 9/11 related, but
Right.
here he is in bed, like can't get out of bed, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing over there? Can I get you anything? I got a guy." He'd be that.
And
I heard he had a lot of guys, actually. I heard
Yes,
that. Yeah.
very resourceful. But he, as much as he loved the care that he got at Sloan, he was always also like ready to get out. And
Yeah.
he used to he would be like admitted, and then he would just start telling everybody who came in, "Oh, I'm leaving tomorrow." And just like start the rumor.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he was always out of the hospital way before they told him he should be,
Yeah.
or not that he signed himself out, but he was
Right.
always just ready
Move
to
things
go.
along.
I
Yeah.
mean, no time in rehab. He was like, "We're going to do that at home."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
would do it at home because
Yeah.
he wanted to.
Right. Did it? Yeah.
So he gets out. He's in and out of Sloan, and so what? Obviously, there comes a period of time where he either is on light duty or no duty with the fire department. And how did that go?
Not well. He was not. He did not want to stop working, ever.
No.
And he didn't for a long time.
he
He
hung
drove,
on.
Really
and
worried
he,
about
He found
I think- I
places.
don't
He
know
just
if it's-
he would just go places,
Yeah.
and the next thing you know, he was like taking pictures or driving somebody, or
I think
you
he
know.
worked and showed up to work even when he wasn't on
Yeah.
the roster to work. He just would show up and he would get
Figure
into
it
it,
out.
and they'd be like, "Are you supposed to be working today?" Yeah.
His,
He would just work his way
his-
into it, act like he
his-
belonged.
Chief Joe Pfeifer would say, I'd have to ask Ray what I was doing today because Ray was in charge. Where are we going today, Ray? But Ray was very good at knowing what the chief needed to know and what
Very
he needed
organized.
to
How
do.
to get something
And
accomplished.
he was a great. He was great at what he did. He was. I don't know anybody like him. Really.
So how did he pull all these strings? I mean, I hear these stories that
That is going to
this
our
one
grave.
needs this and that one needs that, and he's got all these.
wheeled
He's got
and
his
dealed
tentacles
whole
all.
life. He wheeled and dealed every deal. He just got
He
it
just
done.
had so much, I think, love for the whole idea of the fire department and the whole, that he knew it inside and out and knew how to get things done.
Right.
Knew what needed to get done, knew that if they went the way that they were supposed to, it was never going to get done, so I'm just going to do
So
it my
like,
way.
even
Concerned,
as simple as well, it's not that it's simple, but they would be taking pictures or something of buildings or whatever, and they had to do it through the police department. They had to do it through the police department. I might get this story wrong, but this is the essence of is he wound up getting a news company to take pictures so that the people on the ground could actually see, so like video, could actually see the fire and what needed to be done. I mean, there's a real story to that, and I'm just sort of, chopping it up
Right,
and
Joe
not doing
Pfeifer
a
would
really
tell you
great job of
exactly.
it. But he did that. And it revolutionized how they were getting photographs of fires. I'm like, you did that? It's like, yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah.
I was gonna
And he
say,
got
he's not
people to
really
do it.
concerned
Simple
about
ideas.
the things that get in the way of getting something done. He doesn't want to know why I can't do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just wants to
This
move
is how
forward
we're
to
gonna
how
do
we're
it.
going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not concerned about rules or procedure.
I mean, he would never do anything illegally that would land him in jail.
But he would stretch the boundaries maybe a
Just
little.
a bit.
a creative
little bit.
thinker.
Just enough
A
to get it
creative
done.
thinker.
Yeah.
Creative.
He was a
That's
creative
how you think
thinker.
about it, really.
Exactly. He just knew.
How was his care? I hear from so many that, there's funds that are set up to help these families out, to help these individuals who have been diagnosed and are going through the journey of cancer, but it doesn't cover everything. You four were his siblings. You're sitting there watching him go through this. Were there things that were obvious to you that weren't happening, that maybe he either just said, I can't focus on that, or it'll all work out, or I'll get what I need somehow? Were there gaps in things that you saw about how he was, medically cared for?
I don't know that we would know all of that, but I definitely felt like his needs were being met. I also don't know if he was typical of all the people that were in the same situation medically, because he worked so hard and people recognized him and knew who he was. I don't know how much of that factored into what he got, right, in terms of healthcare. But he's not the kind of person who's going to say, oh, I don't have this. He's just going to make do. So
Yeah.
It was never apparent that anything was missing. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
When he needed a cane, he got a cane. When he needed a walker, he got a walker. When he needed a wheelchair, he got the wheelchair. When he needed a scooter, he got a scooter.
And he was very much that way for other people. Like, so if you need a cane, you should get a cane, and here's
Yeah.
how you do it. And if you need a
Right.
scooter,
That's like that whole Sal and Wendy thing.
Right.
Right.
He kept saying
Right.
to,
Sal
The way
needed
that-
a scooter.
and he would say, Karen, which is his wife, Karen, tell them how to get the scooter. Let's get this done. And he would say to Sal, you need a scooter. We're going to get you a scooter.
How
And give
many times do I have to
Yeah.
tell you? Get the
Get
scooter.
the scooter.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
But I'm sure Wendy would tell you.
Right.
Yeah, Wendy will probably have a better way of doing it. And that, my sisters were there for that. And
Such
So
a
Wendy
beautiful,
telling this story, and
beautiful day.
yeah, it was really
So share that with me.
the day that Sal got the wheelchair.
Yeah.
So we'd never met them before. I had seen Sal, but I didn't know who he was, because there were a lot of people that you saw, but you weren't really sure who was who.
Yeah.
So when Wendy spoke about getting the wheelchair and what it meant, and it was really beautiful, and exactly what Ray, in his vision of life, how life should be.
Mm-hmm.
Ray had things, and he didn't think he should be the only one to have them. He thought everybody should have this, be comfortable, as he was. But Wendy telling the story that Friday, I think it was on a Tuesday or
It was like Tuesday.
a
yeah.
Tuesday. That Friday they were going in to see the tree into the city,
Yeah.
and the kids had wanted to go, and Sal said, all right, we'll take them, I'll stay in the car, you get out and let them. And Wendy said, we can't do that, and because he got this wheelchair, he was able to
She was telling
actually
us this is
share
what it
that.
means to us. Like
Yeah.
real quality time with
so like
kids.
you have
Yeah.
the chills
Yeah.
thinking that
And
it's
And that's
changed,
exactly what he would.
changed someone's
Right.
life.
I don't,
Yeah.
I don't
That
know
they
the
could
person,
remain a
but
family.
somebody gave Ray the scooter.
Yeah,
the McKees.
originally. The McKees. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yes.
And I heard it only had one speed, and that was fast.
Oh my
You
God.
must-
You gotta really be
I heard
careful.
stories that he would drive around and you'd have
You'd
to
be like,
watch
you'd
your
be
feet,
out of
or
breath.
it needed a backup horn to it because he'd throw it in reverse.
You'd be out of
People-
breath.